Hello guys, I am back from another video, and today we're talking about what if Deku was in RWBY. So in the last video we talked about how, actually I'm not going to be doing like the whole recap because unfortunately my recording is no longer, my recording like audio is basically ruined because somebody decided to call, and because of that, my recording is basically ruined because I can't use any other device that basically has, like, the recording thing or, any audio type thing. So, yeah, this is basically the intro. So, yeah, let's talk about what happens next. So, we go to a different perspective. So, in this case, we go to a bar as a man was basically being seen. This man seems to have blackened hair and reddish eyes as he was watching the Vista Festival on the TV. As the man, aka the bartender, would say this. Well, those kids are quite strong. Especially the kid with the weird looking eyes. Apparently he calls himself, or at least that's what people call him. The people call him by the name of the Three-Eyed Demon, I think so, he would say. As one of them would say this, specifically the man in the bar, or at least the dark-haired man, as he would say this. To say the least, that kid is quite interesting to say the least, but he's still pretty much a rookie, he would say. As the man would say this. Hey, don't underestimate him. I mean, have you seen last time? I mean, he basically fended off, several Grimm from basically taking over, Vale, he would say. As he would say this. Seen it. But he's not as strong. But he will be strong eventually, he would say. As after saying that, he would start to leave the bar. As currently in the background, we would see an elegant looking Atlesian ship, as would have 4 wings, like a, X-Wing fighter, or, whatever you want to call it from, Star Wars, because I don't really like Star Wars all that much, and if you're wondering why I actually did the droid episode, is because, well, at the time, I thought it was a cool idea, and I sort of, sort of dabbled in a bit of, like, Star Wars, but now I just thought of it as, like, ruined. You can tell, I just don't like Star Wars anymore. I do like I do like the Lego Star Wars, but I don't really, play with Lego anymore. But, it's a bit confusing to say the least. So, yeah. So, after leaving the bar, the bartender would say this. Hey, you forgot about your... As he would look at the table and would see, his payment of Lien, as he would say this. Dusty old crow, he would say. As after saying that, we go back to, to Team Colorless. As after, a bit of talking, they were currently outside, basically talking to each other. As while they were talking, they would notice, a large ship nearby. Or at least flying, above them, as Izik would say this. What the? Is that an Atlesian ship, he would say? As one of them would say this, specifically, Rachel. Yeah, it seems so. Huh, that looks pretty weird, she would say, as one of them would say this. Yeah, no kidding, said, Dove. As, one of them would say this, specifically, Skyla, as she would say this. What do you mean, Skyla? She would say, not Skyla, I meant, what do you mean, Rachel, she would say, as she would say this. Well, you see, most of the time, Atlesian ships supposed to look like, not as elegant as that. In fact, it doesn't look like something that you would see in a war, she would say. As he would say this. Yeah, I do have to agree with, with Rachel over there, he would say. As, one of them specifically, Dove would say this. Yeah, I mean, I didn't, I've seen a lot of Atlesian ships, but never this one, she would say. As after saying that, they would start to leave. Going back to, I was about to say UA dorms, god fucking damn it, no. I meant Beacon dorms. And so, after arriving at Beacon, where there was a few people around, basically getting ready to get some sleep, basically in the dorms, they would see the Atlesian ship basically there, as everybody was looking at it. As somebody would basically come out. As Izuku would notice this as you'd say, "Hey, guys," said one of them, specifically, Rachel, as you'd say this. What is Rachel? He would say, specifically Izuku, as they would say this. Let's go, he would say. I meant. And after, saying that specifically, Skyla, they would start, leaving to go towards, where the ship has landed. As currently, we also see, one of them. More specifically, Dove basically there following them, as she would say this. Huh, why is there an Elysian ship here? And, wait, is that Weiss? Said one of them, or at least, said in her mind. As after saying that, we currently see, Weiss there, as she would be confronted by somebody. As this somebody seems to be, well, when Izuku approaches the area where, or at least, sort of in front of the, sort of like, behind, like, the Atlesian ship where it basically landed as the entrance would basically open up, Izuku and the rest of, like, Team Careless would see, well, two Atlesian guards as they were basically in the middle of them was a girl. A girl that seems to be an older and much more hotter Weiss. You can't tell me otherwise. She's basically a hotter Weiss. As she would say this. Well then, it's nice to meet you again, sister, she would say. As Izuku would say this. Wait, sister, he would say? As he would start, say that in his mind, as one of them would say this. Specifically, what's her freaking face? As they would see, the girl that almost looks like Weiss, as one of them would say this. Wait, did you just say sister? Said, Rachel, as, Dove would say this. Yeah. So I guess Weiss has a sister, she would say, as one of them would say this. Well, that is quite, as one of them would say this. Specifically, Skyla. Well, interesting, to say the least, said one of them. Specifically, Skyla. As after saying that, they would see, wait for a second. As they would see, the girl, aka, the girl that almost resembles an older Weiss would basically walk up to, Weiss. As she would say this. Well, it's been a while, sister, she would say. As Weiss would say this. Sister, it's been a while, she would say. As she would start bowing down, as, she would say this. Sister, like I said last time, you don't need to be formal. After all, our father's not here, she would say. As she would say this. Oh, right, sister, she would say. As she would say this. And stop calling me sister, she would say. You can just be, a bit informal with me. Just call me, Winter, she would say. As, she would say this. Oh, yes, Winter, she would say. As Izuku would say this. So, her name is Winter, he would say. As after saying that, Izuku would start, basically, and the rest of, like, Team Careless would start moving towards, a bit more in front of, like, more like in front of, like, the, of the display. As after doing so, Izuku would say this. So, I didn't know that she actually got a sister, or at least has a sister, he would say. As he would start thinking in his mind, well, I mean, it makes sense. After all, the White Fang are very much at least, hateful towards, the Shnee family. Like, seriously. As after saying that to himself, Weiss would say this. Oh, hey, Zuku, she would say. As, after saying that, Winter would also start to look towards the direction of where she said that. As after doing so, Izuku was basically in the spotlight. As Izuku would say this. Oh, hello, Weiss, he would say. As she would say this. You want to, as she would start, stuttering a little bit, as it would cause, Winter to basically look at her once again, as she would say this. Why is she stuttering, she would say this to herself, as she would start looking towards the Izuku kid, as she would start walking up to him, as Izuku would say this. Hello there, Miss Atlesian, soldier, he would say, as she would say this. Please, just call me Miss, Miss Winter, she would say, as he would say this. Oh, Hello there, Winter, he would say, or Miss Winter, he would say, as the as his other members of as the other members of Team Carlos would basically bow down as well, as she would say this. How diligent. I like that, she would say, as she would say this. Now, may I ask you this? What is your relationship between you and and my little sister, she would say, as he would say this. Well, when, Weiss and Weiss and I are actually former teammates, he would say, as she would say this. Former teammates, you say, she would say, as he would say this. Well, yeah, I was actually used to be in a five-man team with her. But after a expulsion from one of my classmates, I was told that I was going to be transferring to a new team, he would say. Ah, she would say this. Ah, I see, she would say. So, may I ask, how's my sister ever since she left to go to Beacon Academy, she would say. As Izuku would say this. Well, Weiss has been, pretty nice to say the least. She's actually pretty helpful. Even though she's sometimes, forced me to basically do some stuff for her, he would say. As she would say this. I see, she would say. As she would start looking towards Weiss, as Weiss would say this. Yeah, sister, she would say. As she would say this. Just call me Winter, she would say. As she would say this. Oh, right, Winter, she would say. As she would say this. Father has been telling me that you recently started to become a little bit more ambitious lately. And I heard that your card recently gone declined, she would say. As she would say this. Oh, about that, she would say. As she would say this. Don't worry, I got you a new card. And for that old one, you just have to give it to me. I'll, get you more money later, she would say. Or at least in a few months, she would say. As she would say this. Oh, sure, sister, she would say. As after saying that, she would basically give her the card as she would replace it with the new one. As she would say this. Now, as she would start looking towards, Weiss once again, as she would say this. So, how's your little thing, she would say. As she would say this. Oh, yeah, me being a huntress, I've been actually doing good a lot, she would say. As she would say this. How good exactly, she would say. As she would say this. Well, I recently started learning how to, learning a bit of teamwork with the rest of my group. And not only that, Izuku has been helping me a lot, she would say. As she would say this. Really, she would say. As she would start looking toward Izuku, as she would start looking at him with, with a bit of malicious intent. A little bit, at least, as it would cause Izuku to, wait for a second. A bit of malicious intent, a little bit. Wait for a second, let me just do... Sorry about that, anyway, continuing on, as she would say this. As she would start looking at Izuku a little bit, as it would cause Izuku to freeze, as she would say this. So this is the three-eyed demon. I heard of you, but... And after seeing your strength, I still believe that you're still pretty much still not experienced enough to basically teach my sister, she would say. As after saying that to herself, she would start looking towards, Weiss once again, as she would say this. Now, sister, she would say, as she would say this. Winter, she would say, as she would say this. Weiss, if you ever need some help, I'm here to help you out. But I'm also going to be staying here in Beacon for a while now. After all, Miss Ironwood told me, but before she can, she would hear, hey! As they would, after hearing that, they would hear the sound of, of a man. As you would look over and would see a tall man with a bit of stubble. As he would also have dark hair and reddish eyes. As you would say this, hey! Snowflake, it's been a while, he would say. As it would cause Winter to become a little bit mad, as she would say this. How dare you, she would say. As she would basically grab her sword, or rapier, as she would charge towards the man. As she, after getting ready to, to stab him right in the, face, it would cause him to basically, move out of the way. Causing him to basically, flip over and would basically grab his large-ass sword, which resembles a claymore. As he would say this. How he would say, as he would start, grabbing a flask, as he would start drinking it, as he would say this. How pathetic, he would say, as would cause, Winter to become even more mad, as she would say, what the hell are you doing here, she would say, as he would say this. Well, I wanted to see you again, Miss, Miss Irritable, he would say, as it would cause her to become even more mad as she would start charging towards him once again and start fighting him. But during the fight, Izuku and the rest of, Team Carlos would just be in awe seeing the man basically dodging the attacks from the, from the winter, from the Schnee heiress. Not really heiress, but more like, Schnee heiress, sort of, kind of, I guess, or at least the Schnee top. I meant Schnee child, As currently nearby, we also see, Team RWBY, except for Blake, for some odd reason, basically going there. As she would say this, hey, Weiss, what are you doing? As before she can say anything else, she would look over and would see, Winter and also the dark-haired man basically fighting. As she would say this, Uncle Crow, she would say. As after saying that, Izuku would say, wait, Uncle, he would say, as he would look over towards the man once again, as the man seems to be fighting with, with relative ease. As he seems to be, pretty much, dealing with, the, woman herself pretty easily. As after a bit of fighting, Izuku would say this, wait, that's, her uncle, he would say, as he would start looking towards RWBY. As she seems to be, let's just say, pretty much, fighting like, this man by the name of Crow. As, Izuku would say this. So, that's, her uncle, he would say. As, one of them would say this. Wait, that's supposed to be RWBY's uncle? I thought he was going to be like, a wholesome guy, she would say. Specifically, let's just say like, what's her freaking name? Said Dub, as he would say this. Well, I have to agree, he would say, as currently they're pretty much, both of them, aka Winter, and the name, and the guy named Crow would seem to be fighting, as he would basically say this. Enough dodging, he would say, as he would start grabbing onto something from his back, as it would seem to be a large sword. As he would say this. Now, let's get things serious. Let's get a little bit serious, he would say. As he would start swinging around, as the sword would start changing into a scythe. As he would start, slicing, start slicing, the ground every time when he uses a scythe. As he would start shooting off blasts, almost resembling shotgun blasts. As, during the fight, nearby, we also see, General Ironwood, aka Jane Ironwood, aka, Punch Me Mommy. Shice. Oh, god damn it. If you don't know why I said that, it's because of this. Yeah. Just this image. And not only that, on the side over there is basically just a female crow, and that's how and that's why I decided to make a female, James Ironwood, or Jane Ironwood as I call her. So yeah, anyway, continuing on with this episode. Continuing on, as we currently see, General Ironwood, aka, Jane Ironwood, and also Osmond, and finally, Good Witch, Good Witch. Good Witch basically there in, like, in her office, or at least, I meant Osmond's office, as he would say this. Well, anyway, continue on. About the whole, why are you still here thing, he would say, as she would say this. Well, the reason why we're still here is because, well, remember, last time you basically, caused a bit of mayhem because of that little incident back, but before they could say anything else, they would, notice, a bit of fighting nearby, as they would see Crow and, Winter basically fighting from the balcony, or, from the large, like, window, as, Good Witch would say this. So, should I take care of this? She would say, as, Osmond would say this. I would be thankful for you to do that, she would say. He would say, as he would say this. I meant, God, as she would say this. Sure then, she would say, as after saying that, she would start, leaving with General Ironwood. As, Osmond would follow suit, as he would say this. Crow, why must you provoke her, he would say. So, going back to the battle between, Winter and also Crow. As Crow is basically, dodging all of her attacks, as she would say this. Stop moving, she would say. As she would say this. What? And let myself, get hurt, he would say. As after saying that, he would basically grab a bit of debris and kick it towards, Winter. As Winter would basically cut the stone, or at least the debris, in half with her sword, as she would start attacking once more. As Izuku would say this. It's starting to become a little bit hot, he would say. As he would decide to take off his mask, as he would say this. Much better, he would say. As he would start, wiping a bit of his face with, with a towel that he got. As during the fight, Winter would basically, be dodging all of the attacks from, from Crow, as she would notice Izuku take off his mask. After seeing his face, well, her face would start becoming a little bit red, as she would say, she would say this in her mind. What are you thinking, Winter? Focus on the battle, she would say. But before she can, she would get knocked around a little bit by Crow, thanks to the help and distraction of Izuku's face. As after doing so, she would get, slammed into into a nearby, pole, I should say. God, shit, she would say. As after saying that, she would start to get up, as, Crow would say this. Too bad for you Athlesians, but us, normal folk are much a bit stronger. Unlike you and your fancy little, training, he would say. As she would say this. Why you, she would say, as she would charge forward once again, as, the battle would about to be ended, but unfortunately, a person would basically arrive. As this person was General Ironwood, as she would say this. Now, Shlee, stand down, she would say. As after saying that, she would say, General Ironwood, she would say. As she would basically, unsheath her sword, as she would say this. Now, please get back to your, normal routine, and please come with me, she would say. As she would say this. Sure, Miss Ironwood, she would say, specifically Winter. As after doing so, she would start to leave with Ironwood. And as for, for Crow, he would say this. That was disappointing, he would say, as he would start, grabbing onto his, scythe, as he would start, lead it on, basically lead it on his, on his shoulders. As a person would arrive, saying, Crow, she would say, as he would say this. Oh, crap, he would say, as he would look behind him and would see, well, her. Otherwise known as his Miss, good bitch. I meant, good witch, I meant. As good witch would say this. Seriously, Crow, she would say, as he would say this. What? Why not have a bit of fun with her, he would say, as she would say this. You absolute idiot, she would say. But either way, wait for a second. As after, saying so, Crow would say this. Sorry about that, good witch, she would say. She would say this. She would basically just, be pretty much angry. As for, Osmond, he would say this. Now, Crow, can you please go with me to the office, please? He would say. As he would say this. Fine, he would say. But, just let me get my flask first, he would say. As, good witch would grab it, as she would say. No more drinking, she would say. As he would say this. Well, come on, he would say. As he would try to grab onto, try to get his, flask back, as she would say this. No more drinking, you're being sober, she would say. As he would say this. Fine, you're not fun, he would say. As after saying that, she would say this. Well, being a huntsman is not fun, she would say. As he would say this. Whatever, good bitch, she would say. As after hearing that, she would basically, grab onto her riding crop and would start beating him. As currently nearby, everybody was just like watching this. As everybody is just like, taping it. As, Ruby is trying to cheer him on. As, after doing so, good witch or, good bitch, I meant good witch, would basically start, bring him to the office. As for Osmond would follow suit, as he would just, just be there, basically on, with his cup, as he would start drinking something from inside, probably coffee. And so everybody would basically slowly leave. As for Izuku, he would say, well, that was interesting, he would say, as, one of them would say this, specifically, Skyla. Yeah, I guess you could say that, she would say, as, one of them would say this. Yeah, we should probably go back to the dorms. As after saying that, they would start leaving. But before we actually, go back to, to the rest of the story, we go to a different perspective. In this case, well, me, aka Jack, as I'm currently, doing something, as one of the angels there would see this. Jack, he would say, as he would say this. Oh, hello there, fellow Seraphim, he would say, as he would say this. What are you doing? He would say, as he would say this. Oh, I'm currently trying to fix up something. More specifically, trying to, well, you know how there's, a Nasuverse, right? As he would say this. Oh, you mean that clusterfuck, he would say. I mean, he's not wrong. The Nasuverse is basically just like a clusterfuck on top of a clusterfuck on top of, like, a mound of garbage. I mean, I'm not insulting it, I'm just saying it's just facts. Even though I like the Nasu series, mostly Fate, which, but still, it's pretty much a clusterfuck. Like, seriously, it's super complicated. I'm lucky to basically understand a little bit of it, but either way, he would say this. Yeah, what are you actually planning, he would say, as he would say this. Well, I recently discovered another universe similar to that, he would say, as he would say this. Please don't tell me that we have to, as he would say this. Yep, we need to get to reincarnate, but unfortunately, some reincarnates are not being, created for now, so, I'm currently still making up the project for, for the brand new machine that I'm planning to bring them in, as he would say this. Then what the heck is that, said, one of the Seraphim, as he would say this. Oh, this. I call it, as you would start, as we start panning out, as you would see, a large ship, which resembles a mix of, like, a ship from, actually, just imagine, like, a war spaceship from, from Warhammer 40k, mixed with, like, Resident Evil ship. More specifically, imagine, like, the aesthetic of, like, of the Soldat, right? The Soldats, as in, Soldat Dries, Y, and I can't remember the name, but I think it's Panzer and Jet. And, basically the whole shaboodle from, from, what's his name again? Basically the Last Lord. I can't remember his name, but he basically has, the ability to basically control, magnetic forces, which, by the way, he's one of my favorites, mostly because he's actually somewhat normal and somewhat, less crazy, like the others. Unlike the others, I meant. Like, seriously, the only ones that I think are actually sort of normal is the guy, and also, the doll maker, or the puppet maker, or whatever you want to call her. Because at least she somewhat has, a little bit of sense in her mind, while the other two, like, the Lady Dimitrescu and Mr. Midget over there, or Mr., Quasimodo looking ass, basically act like, insane people. Like, absolutely, like, completely insane, to say the least. So yeah, just imagine something of that sort, as you would say this. Now, meet my brand new ship, he would say, but I don't really know what to name it yet, but, just look at me over here. I just made a name for the ship, okay? Not ship, as in, relationship. No, ship, as in battleship. As he would say this. Ah, I see, said one of the seraphim, as he would say this. As he would say this, specifically me. Yeah, I don't really have a name for it yet. The only thing that I currently have right now is, either something Latin, as... Sorry about that. God freaking damn it! Sorry about that. Anyway, continuing on. As, Izuku would say this. Not Izuku, I meant me, as in Jack, as he would say this. The current idea for it is, either naming it, Latin, which, is obviously our, language, he would say, as he would say this. Please let me ask you something first, Jack, he would say, as he would say this. Yes, sure, Seraphim, he would say, as he would say this. Why are you doing this, he would say, and why a ship, exactly, as he would say this. Well, the universe that I said that is similar to, like, the Gnostiverse, he would say, as he would say this. Yeah, he would say, as he would say this. Well, in that universe, apparently, most of the people there, which are mostly girls, have the ability to basically use the powers of World War II/World War I type ships. As, god freaking damn it, wait for a second, World War I/World War II, style ships. As he would say this. Ah, I see, said, one of the seraphim. As he would say this. Yeah, so it's basically similar to that. So, and apparently those ship girls, or whatever you want to call them, are basically currently in trouble. Apparently they're basically having a civil war. Apparently the name of, one of the faction, which is apparently good, or at least the ones that are not using the technology of their, main enemy, is called Azure Lane. Or I think that's the name? It's still pretty much centuries old by now, so I can't remember the actual saying of it. Either it's Azure Lane or Azure Line, he would say, as one of them would say this. I see. And the other said, one of them, as he would say this. Well, apparently it's called the Crimson Axis, which is basically just, Nazi Germany, he would say. As he would say this. I see, so the Axis powers, he would say, as he would say this. Yep. And apparently, they're currently at war, and they're still pretty much fighting against these things known as the Sirens. As one of them would say this. Wait, don't tell me it's that Sirens, he would say. As he would say this. Yep, it seems that they're originating from there. And so, I'm planning to basically bring in, one reincarnate, maybe like another Zuko, he would say, as he would say this. I'm starting to think that you're probably, targeting Izuku specifically for some odd reason, he would say, as he would say this. I don't know what you're talking about, he would say. Me, just like, sweating bullets. Anyway, continuing on, as, I would say this. Not really, but either way, the reason why I'm doing this is because I, remember in our world, he would say, as one of them would say this. Oh yeah, those Sirens, or whatever you want to call them, are currently terrorizing hell. And a bit of like, the human world, and, the fairy world right now. But thankfully heaven is currently safe. For now, he would say. As he would say this. Yeah. So, I'm planning to basically bring in another reincarnate to basically, take care of it. As one of them would say this. Why not you, exactly, said one of them, as he would say this. No. There's no way I'm doing that. Besides, I prefer to let the reincarnates do it. And besides, it's good entertainment, he would say. As one of them would say this. Oh, said, one of the angels that was basically like, sighing, as he would say this. Yeah, but either way, as we would basically, see him basically panning out towards, the large ship, as he would say this. And by the way, the whole warp thing from the, universe of Warhammer 40k, he would say, as, one of them would say this. Yeah, so, he would say, as he would say this. Well, I accidentally put in a dash of warp energy. And a bit of like, a madness enhancement, he would say. As one of them would say this. Excuse me, what? Said all of them. as we go back to, to the universe where Izuku currently is. Oh god, that's a bit of information and a whole. So yeah, so we go back to Izuku and the rest of Team Careless. So we currently see the rest of Team Careless as they're currently back in their dorms, as Izuku would say this. That was an interesting, day, he would say, as one of them would say this. Yep, pretty much. Anyway, good night, guys, said, a pretty tired, what's her name again? Yes, what's her name again? God, as this person was, Rachel, as he would say this. Yeah, good night, guys, he would say, as Izuku would start to yawn. And so, all of them would instantly fall asleep. But, we go to another perspective. In this case, Team Cinder, as Cinder would say this. So, everything is going exactly to plan, she would say, as one of them would say this, specifically Mercy. Yeah, I do agree, but still, she would say, as, one of them would say this, specifically, what's her face? Yeah, Emerald, as she would say this. Yeah, but still, about that Izuku kid, right, she would say, as, Cinder would say this. Oh, don't worry. Besides, he'll learn to basically, serve under us soon, she would say. After this little invasion, she would say. And besides, as she would start bringing up a tablet, as she would say this. The next matches are going to be pretty easy, she would say. As the tablet would reveal that she's basically orchestrating the matches by basically, hacking into the system and basically changing the matchups. As she would say this. Now, for the teams, she would say, as she would have an evil glint in her, eyes, as her smile would be shown into the darkness, as it would start to pan out through, basically pan out towards, to the whole area of Beacon, and so the episode would end right off here. So yeah, so I hope you liked the video, and I hope you liked the little preview for, the sort of next what if. Basically, what if Deku was in Azure Lane, which is going to be coming after, to clarify this, it's going to be coming after, what if Deku, was in, Kill la Kill, and also what if Deku was in, Monster Girl Encyclopedia, which I'm just going to be abbreviating to, MGE for now. And for the third what if, well, I don't really have any ideas right now, so if you can, well, basically the rules are this. It has to be a what if about Bell, and nothing else, so just give me a lot of ideas, for a what if about that. The only rule, or at least sort of rule, is no Dragon Ball ideas. I fucking hate Dragon Ball and everything that it stands for. I hate the designs, I hate the looks, and their power system is basically all in power of whack. Absolutely bullshit in my opinion. I just don't like the aesthetic. I don't like the designs. I seriously don't like any of it. And if you want to basically shout out, oh, but Goku, just shut up. Nobody cares. You're just a man-child. Anyway, continuing on, so yeah, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!